All right, we got I think it's a 90s, early 90s Toro Wheel Horse 520H. Been in the family. My father-in-law bought it years and years ago. Then his son had it, my brother-in-law, and then my dad bought it, and it just won't quit. So I don't think the clutch plate's ever been replaced on it, and I was mowing the other day and the blade just kept slowing down, so I ordered a new clutch plate. Just came in. So I'm just going to kind of show you how the adjustments and how this whole PTO shaft on the side of this thing is kind of unique, how it works. So we'll disassemble everything and put it back together. So the first thing you do to start pulling these pins out, I've taken this apart once before, and you got to make sure that you keep this above everything when you take it apart. Otherwise it's a problem if it gets stuck down underneath and you got to reassemble it. So what I found is you just push that in there and it'll kind of hold it up. The other thing you got to do is loosen up in the front here your adjustment pulley on the bottom. I don't know if you can see that, but down here you would loosen that up so your belt's nice and loose. You take this pin out, just push in here, pull that out. All this drops down then and comes out. You got another pin at the bottom here. Pull that out. And this kind of rotates down. And you just rotate it forward wherever you need to have it. Actually, you might have to rotate it backwards to get the belt off. Then you simply roll the belt, because it's loose, over the top here. Belt's off. Just put that down below. Then you've got to take the little tiny bolts that are on this retaining, I don't even know what you call that. It's like a friction plate that retains pressure on here. And there's little tiny bolts, nuts underneath there that you gotta get to. You can see them up here on the top. Kind of hard to see, but that's where they're at. So to take those off, it's a 7/16 box end wrench. Just put it up in here, the nuts on top, and you just get those loose. I've already got them fairly loose. You just hold your finger on the bottom, pull the nut off. It's like a miniature carriage bolt. I think that's all original. As you can see, it's just a little tiny carriage bolt. A lock washer on top and a nut on top. There's two of them, so it doesn't rotate. Once you take that last one off, then that plate comes right off, and it's just a little friction plate. You can see the groove more in it. There is a washer on the top. The one's stuck on there, the other one isn't, I guess. Then all you got to do is rotate this to a spot where you can get it higher than this plate. This pops right off. And make sure you put some grease in the bearing inside there. There's a nice set of roller bearings. I greased that the other day, and I tried sanding this steel side of the plate, but I noticed that it gave me a little extra catch on it, but not enough. So this is the clutch plate that we got to take off. You can see it's pretty bad. There's not much left on it. And we're going to replace it. See if that helps it. Just got to take these bolts out and it should come right off. All right, I tried taking those off with a socket, you know, a regular ratchet, and it just spins. So you got to use an impact. Make sure you're going the right way, lefty loosey. Comes right off. Don't lose your parts. Got a little Loctite on there. Probably have to pick up some Loctite. I didn't realize I'd need that. You can see the Loctite on there. Looks like a blue Loctite. Oh, looks like that's coming off the plate itself, the adhesive. Must have got so hot. Interesting. slide this off. It's a tight fit. There you go. It looks like the friction surface is all gone off of it. I don't know if you can see that, but, and it's actually separating from the plate too. Time to replace it. What I'm noticing is that this clutch plate, which you can see the serial number on it, is just as thick as the old one, but the old one seems to be all glazed. It's a little wore, I guess. This almost looks like a softer, corkier material, and this one's all glazed, as you can see. So hopefully that fixes it. I'm pretty sure that's the problem. Another thing I want to point out is this belt. You can get it off. That's your transmission. It runs the fan that cools the transmission and drives your PTO to your transmission for your hydrostatic. Mine's got a little chunk missing out of it here and over here. Makes a little thump as it goes around, but I don't have the other belt, so it'd be a good time to replace that while you're in here. I may order one and just take it apart this winter. Right now I just need to mow, so it still works. Pretty tight fit. This slides back on there. You just gotta line up your holes. And I gotta look up the torque specs. I don't know what they are. Get those lined up and then put our pieces back on. Got the little torque plates, back plates on there, and I'm tightening down with Loctite the 4 bolts to hold the clutch plate on. Let's give those a little tightening. I couldn't find the torque specs, so we're going to hope that the Loctite holds it. And this is sufficient torque. Probably should have done a crisscross pattern. I had these two already tightened, but just double check them. If you try to tighten them with this, it'll just turn the motor over, so not much you can do about that. Hopefully somebody else has a better idea than what you see me doing for torque spec. Well, you just reassemble it. Like I said, I already greased the inside of that the other day when I was trying to get it working. Put that back on, goes right up against there, and then you start reassembling all this stuff. Of course, this thing goes back on like this, goes underneath, and then these little carriage bolts go up through there. So you get one of them, get it started on there. There's a washer that goes on first, then a lock washer, then your little tiny 7/16 nut. Then you gotta do the second one as well. I don't have a manual, so I'm not really sure how tight this is supposed to be, but I just push it in until you hear it rubbing slightly on it, but it still goes freely. All right, I ended up tightening it down and it was rubbing too much. Like it barely was turning, so I had to adjust it out just a hair, and now I got them all tightened down with the end wrench. You can hear it just barely dragging, and you know, you got to look at the gap that's in there because it's already got a wear mark into the pad there. But it's just barely pulling it. And I think that's just to keep it from having too much play back and forth. But this right here will engage it when you pull that lever anyways. So we'll try that. I haven't really done a whole lot of research online about how that's supposed to be set. I'm just kind of repeating how it felt when I took it off the first time. All right, so next to put the belt on. This is your main mower belt. You just kind of put it up in the groove. Gotta make sure it's loose. Put that back on there. Then you just reassemble this, whoops. I forgot I gotta put that rod back over there. Watch your fingers when you're taking these off. This has got to swing out here before you put it on, otherwise it's in the wrong spot. There we go. Now you can swing this back over. You gotta line this plate back up. It's a weird system and it only works one way. Just gotta find the notch in there. There it goes. Once you get it up in there, then this rotates back over, so everything can be lined back up. You just got to rotate this, put the pin in there. This is a weird pin. You know, it's a regular pin with a hook on it, but you got to get it in this groove when it comes through. And that's where it locks in, so you kind of have to push it up, lock it in, and bring it the rest of the way through, and it just kind of sits there. Doesn't really rub on that, but very strange setup. And the big pin goes on the bottom here, and then it has to go there. And then undo this. And you're gonna have to readjust this because I'm sure it's got, seems pretty good actually. Maybe we'll leave it there. But this is how you adjust the threads or the tension on that. I might back it off one. So if you go counterclockwise, it loosens the tension on your clutch plate. And you can test it. It seems pretty good actually. You can see it really pulls on the motor. Maybe we can loosen it up one more. That seems pretty good. You don't know until you try it out. You put this little cotter pin back in there, then you got to tighten down your belt again. I don't know if you've seen how all that works, but that's what it looks like up close. This just all freely rotates by that, and the pin on the bottom, a washer, and this just goes down through there. And then up here, it's very strange, but you loosen it to gain tension on the belt, and this just keeps coming out until it's fully adjusted. I go out till it's about like that. Sometimes I'll get out when the belt warms up, it lightens up a little bit, but seems to be pretty good. You can hear the drag on this. It's this little thing right here. Just got a light drag on it, but I wouldn't want to run it any looser than that. We'll see how that works. This mower's got over 1,000 hours. Well, I think 996 hours. So she's been around a while, but fires right up, doesn't really burn any oil, and seems to work pretty well. I love the seat on it because it's comfortable and takes the bumps pretty good too. It's not super powerful, but works good. You can see I have the side panel off here because I thought something was going on with this belt. It's just got a chunk missing out of it. I'm gonna order a new belt for it, but we'll try it out. Engaged fully, so to get more pressure on this plate here when you pull in on that, I adjusted this little nut back farther so that when you pull on this lever here, it pulls it back and engages it a little tighter. See if that helps.